Hello and welcome to Best Binocular Reviews. My name is Jason, and in this video I'm going to show you the three main types of compact binocular, discuss their differences as well as their relative strengths and weaknesses to help you decide which one is right for your specific needs and requirements and at your chosen budget. And we're going to start right now. With these really large lenses that are able to collect a bunch of light, there's no question that a large pair of binoculars like these, or indeed just a standard set like this, will optically outperform a compact with its tiny little objective lenses. However, there are a number of uses, be that canoeing, backpacking, hiking, traveling, or taking along to an outdoor sporting event, where lugging around a large pair of binoculars is either not possible or undesirable. And so in these situations, a compact binocular would be the right choice. However, if you just take a look at the three in front of me I have here, you will see that amongst compact binoculars, there are a number of different options and not all are created equal. So in this video, I just want to go through the different types or designs available to you and discuss which merits they have over each other so that you can see which one is exactly right for your specific needs and requirements. So to begin with, let's take a look at what is probably the most popular type, especially at the lower price levels, and that are reverse Polyprism compacts. These Vortex Vanquish 10x26s that I have in front of me are a perfect example, in that as you can see, because of the shape of the prisms that they use inside and the way that they are positioned, they have this distinctive shape where their objective lenses are closer together than the eyepieces. Now typically, standard size or large binoculars like these that also use Polyprisms, the opposite is the case, with the eyepieces being closer together than the objectives. But whilst they are optically excellent, you can see that good quality Polyprism binoculars like these are anything but compact. So in order to help keep the size down, they reverse the prisms in most Polyprism compacts. However, as small as these vortexes are, you can see that out of these three examples I have on display here, these are the least compact compacts, and this is their main weakness. So in this category of binoculars where size really does matter, why on earth would you pick a Polyprism binocular like this over the more compact roof prism options like these? Well, the answer to that is price, but more accurately price versus performance. You see, the Polyprisms used in these binoculars to correct the inverted image are actually cheaper to make than the roof prisms used in both of these examples. This is mostly because they don't require any specialist coatings in order to achieve a maximum level of light transmission. As well as this, because of the specific design of a Polyprism, they don't suffer from something known as phase shift, which I'll get to in a little bit more detail once I discuss these two. This means at the sort of cheap entry-level end of the market, you will invariably get a better optical performance out of a cheap Polyprism compared to a cheap roof prism. This is simply because they don't require any of the specialized coatings and are therefore cheaper and easier to make. Whereas a cheap roof prism compact, on the other hand, will invariably either forgo some of these coatings or indeed the coatings that they do use or the materials that they use are of a lesser quality, and therefore their optical performance is somewhat compromised. Next, we move on to these two compacts, which both use a different design of prism inside of them to correct the inverted image. Known as a roof prism, and more specifically in this case, the Smith-Pekin design of roof prism, the advantage here is they have a more compact shape than the Polyprism, which is mainly down to the way the light both enters and exits the prisms in a straight line. And thus, as you can see, you can position the objective lenses straight in line with the eyepieces, which can result in a more compact overall shape than a Polyprism one with the same size lenses. This size difference is not always as apparent when they are opened, like when you are using them, but once you fold them away, the difference, especially in width, is far more obvious. Taking a closer look at both of these compacts, both use roof prisms, yes. However, the Steiner has a clever two-hinge design, whilst the other has only one single hinge in the center, and thus, once they are folded to put away or to carry about, the double hinge design is the clear winner, and I would say makes it a true pocket binocular. So whilst by using them it can result in a more compact instrument being produced, the shape of the roof prism, and more specifically the actual way the light bounces off the internal surfaces, means that they don't naturally reflect 100% of the light that enters them. To correct this, special mirror coatings are added to these surfaces to boost the level of reflectivity. Of these, the best are dielectric mirror coatings, which have a reflectivity of almost 100% across the entire visible range. However, these coatings are expensive and thus only usually found on expensive top-end instruments. Next, you get silver mirror coatings, which cost less, but they also have a slightly lower reflectivity index of between about 95 to 98%. Now these are typically what you would find on most mid-level roof prism instruments. Then below that you get aluminium mirror coatings, which cost the least of all the three options, but at the same time they also have the lowest reflectivity index of between about 87 to 93% typically. Now these are the mirror coatings that will be used on most cheap or the least expensive roof prism compacts out there. And the level of reflectivity, whilst acceptable, it doesn't quite match the 100% you're going to get from an equivalent Polyprism design. Another issue particular to roof prisms is something known as phase shift. Here, as the light gets bounced around inside the prism, it gets slightly polarized and splits into two separate, slightly out of phase beams. Left uncorrected, this results in an image with slightly lower resolution and slightly less contrast. Thus, to correct this, manufacturers will add a special phase correction coating to these prism surfaces. Now these obviously cost money, and thus at the lower end of the market, the cheap roof prism compacts, they will forgo these coatings, and thus the quality of the image suffers accordingly. So in a nutshell, the choice as to which type of compact binocular is right for your specific needs ultimately boils down to your available budget. And then, if you are shopping at the lower end of the market, you need to make the choice as to whether an optical performance is more important to you than having a slightly more compact shape to carry around. If you have a reasonably healthy budget, then you can most certainly have your cake and eat it, in that with a high-end roof prism compact like these Steiners, with their double hinge design, you can get a very compact, true pocket-sized binocular with a performance that is as good as the best Polyprism compacts. If you are on a very tight budget and looking at cheap, entry, and even some mid-level price ranges and want to get the best optical performance at this level, you are usually better off sacrificing a little in the size department and going with a Polyprism compact. At the mid-level price ranges, the water gets a little murky and the choice is not always as clear-cut. Do you go with a reverse Polyprism for the best optical performance, but not quite as small dimensions? Or do you instead go for a roof prism compact that may be smaller, but probably has silver mirror coatings? This will result in an acceptable optical performance, but may not be quite at the same level as an equivalent Polyprism at the same price range. Here I also think it's important to note that the difference can be very minimal and can change between brands and indeed models. So there you go. I do hope that this video has been of both use and of interest to you. If it has, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if at all possible, please do remember to subscribe, as this really does help both the channel and me bring you more and more content in the future. Other than that, if you have any thoughts, comments, or ideas, suggestions, or whatever, please feel free to use the section down below and I'll do my very best to get back to you. So until next time, thanks very much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.